What is good with the people? I am Damo, the political plug. This is the Chop Up Show. Thank y'all for joining us on this Sunday evening out here on the West Coast. I know it's a little bit later out where Toya is engaging in her debate camp, but uh, with what's going on in the world today, we had to pull up on y'all and have this conversation specifically because we have world-changing news to report on today. Toya, what's good with you?
I'm cool, plug. I'm out here kind of sticking and moving out in Houston over at the University of Houston. So if y'all hear me echoing, if y'all see my background and y'all see my little dorm room furniture, it's because I'm locked into a classroom space. But it's also moving and shaking out here in this world. So like you implied, we couldn't miss this beat. You know what I'm saying? Definitely want to make sure we talk to the Chop Nation and connect with y'all and connect with each other about y'all saw the thumbnail. It's crazy out here. Folks attempted to be assassinated, people committing all types of crimes during election time. It's just a wild time to be alive. So of course I'm with the best people in the world, with the best co-hosts in the world here at the Chop Up Show. Y'all know what it is.
Man, appreciate that love. Now, let's go ahead and get into this news. We ain't trying to keep y'all too long. We want y'all to be able to enjoy y'all evening. But unless you've been living under a rock, you heard that Donald Trump got shot. I ain't even know, you know what I'm saying? There's no other way to kind of introduce this topic other than there was an assassination attempt on the Republican presidential candidate at a rally in Pennsylvania. Like really, Trump was inches away from losing his life. The man got shot in his ear. And when he got shot, oddly enough, when the Secret Service rushed, I don't know if he picked up what was going on or what it is, but the man threw up a fist to be like, yeah, fight. Which is crazy given the fact that you just got shot in the ear. All right.
Crazy as shit. But he knew, and we'll talk about what he knew and didn't know and what people know and don't know about this, that, and the other. But he, at least in that moment, knew how important that moment was.
Oh, he knew.
Hey, shout out to this man real quick, and shout out to Danielle, shout out to Dynell. What's good with the family? Y'all coming to the table. We appreciate y'all popping in here.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a lot of things to unpack, just in terms of, you know what I mean, like where our thoughts are in terms, like how this impacts the election, the shooter, and all of that. But before we get into kind of more of the details of what's going on and what we think about the situation, I want to start with reactions. You know what I mean? So Toya, when you first heard that Donald Trump got shot, what was your initial reaction?
Where am I? Where am I? Like, I mean, which is not an original thought, but it's one that I tend to go back to in thinking about just the political landscape we in. I said the same thing earlier this week when Joe Biden called Kamala Harris Vice President Trump when he had when Joe Biden called Zelensky Putin. Like, where am I right now? You know what I'm saying? But it was a bit of a deeper WTF to give you some more context about where I was and what was happening around me. Also, what kind of shaped this shit crazy moment was there's a Slack for the staff of or the instructors rather of the camp that I'm working at. And so we have a channel that's all staff, and then of course we have a channel where all the kids are. Where when that happened, they posted it to the all staff Slack because they was like, get ready for all the wildly inappropriate things that your students could potentially, be about to say about this wild thing that's going on. And also as adults, they know we kind of locked into camp mode. So, they did us the solid of making sure we were at least that connected to what's happening in the world or whatever. And so to look up and look at my phone, and so it took me back to when I found out Kobe got shot. I mean, Kobe passed away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was in the gym when it happened. And so I'm watching people cousins text them. I'm watching them get news alerts on their phone, and I'm just looking around this place that I'm in, seeing all these reactions. Similarly, I'm watching myself read the Slack and look up at my colleagues. Some of them celebrating, doing victory laps, cracking up, getting their jokes going. It's like just to see that organic moment of what the fuckery in real time. We passed the time. I hope so. Was something else to see. So again, you asked my original or initial thought in response to it. Just where am I that this man was able to get at a Trump rally? And also, can I give you my second thought?
Please.
He got what he asked for. This is the America you want. This is the society you want. You got what you wanted. So good deal. Good job.
That's interesting. That's interesting. And we want to hear from y'all in the chat. What was y'all initial reaction when y'all heard about Donald Trump getting shot at or shot?
Miss
My
Ma'am cut
initial
to the chase said, Miss Ma'am cut to the chase said, so who thinks this was a setup? What's up to Winter who done popped in here? Definitely a long time, but never too long for you to come back. So definitely happy to have you in the mix.
we got
And then
Brandon.
Brandon. No,
Brandon.
You were right. Brandon, not Braden.
Yeah.
What's popping with it? Definitely happy to have y'all in here. But plug, carry on. I just want to make sure we did go and check in and see who and what they had to say, especially now that we know the topic.
So I'm gonna keep it a stack. It fucked up my day. How many minutes are we in? No, we 6 minutes in. We good. It fucked up my day.
I already said the F word, so we if even if we not, I messed it up first.
yeah, it's all good. But yeah, it fucked up my day straight up. Like because when I first heard it, I'm like, all right, this better be some like people better be overreacting. It better be like some fireworks or some shit popped up, whatever. People better be overreacting because the response was that like it was like, oh, Trump was shot. Not that you know what I'm saying. It was just he was shot. Then when I started looking into it and started seeing like, oh no, like Secret Service is saying he's safe. Secret Service is saying he's fine. He's recovering. I'm like, fine, recovering. What the fuck? Y'all really shot this nigga? Shot at this nigga and missed?
Yeah.
The fuck? Hey, cause like,
9 millimeters, bro.
Man,
like, what?
cause I've been listen. I don't wish death on nobody. I've said this repeatedly on the platform about celebrities and other unsavory people that didn't die, right? But at the same time, I'm like, bro, you had one job. Like if this is how you going about it, like which I don't condone at all. Like political violence is unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? It breaks the system. You know what I mean? It changes the world in negative ways. You feel me? But it's like, do you know what you have done? Like, am I the whole time I'm thinking like, bro, if you thought you was saving America by taking this nigga out, you just made shit worse. And you ain't even about to have to be here to deal with the consequences. Because they took him smooth out.
They said that he was shot within seconds of him shooting. Like it just was boom, boom. As a matter of fact, I feel like I watched a video of the sniper who shot him. As the shots was ringing out, it was like a time lapse double like stacked video of both of those things happening. So it was wild to know that the threat was neutralized rather quickly.
And look, and then for me, it got real when I saw the picture with the blood on his face. The picture that we got on the thumbnail. I'm like, oh, y'all didn't just turn this. Y'all gave him what he wanted. Donald Trump wants to be a victim. Like he doesn't have like the skill, the ability, the charisma to be able to be the type of candidate that can win this election based on him alone. Now he got to be a victim. It has to be a conspiracy. There has to be some bad guys out there trying to get him, which scares other white people to be like, well, we got to rock with Trump because them bad guys that's after him, they could be after us too.
Yeah, and they'll try to silence him. You know what they'll do to us.
And so he wanted to be a victim in all these court cases. He wanted to be a victim when he lost the election. And the thing that we always can hang our hat on is that everything that he attempts to play victim with, the material evidence proves, no, you're the perpetrator. You deserve all the court cases, all the money that you owe E. Jean Carroll and everything else. Nigga, you was responsible for that. You brought that on.
And that's the great part. Like, not only are you not a victim, like you're not being victimized, you're actually the villain here.
You're the bad guy, right?
It's wild.
And so the reason why I fucked up my day is because because he was born in 2003, so he barely 20. You know what I'm saying? Like this young little upstart, little dummy. You know what I mean? Went out of his way to make this man the martyr that he always wanted to be. Y'all turned him to the victim. Y'all made it a both. Like I won't say y'all. You, the perpetrator, made it this both sides thing. Now all the whining and complaining, all of the conspiracies that's been posited about how the system don't want Donald Trump and how there are these powers out here that's trying to keep him from getting elected. Now they have legitimacy to say that.
Absolutely.
You feel me? So for me, it's like no bullshit. My initial reaction was this nigga didn't won the election. He didn't, and we're gonna talk about the impact of all of that. But just my initial reaction was he didn't win the election because I was just on a YouTube panel prior talking to niggas that was talking about the debate still and them gaffes that you was talking about. I'm up here like them gaffes is like Joe Biden do them gaffes, but we don't talk about the Donald Trump gaffes. So
You
in my
don't.
mind, I'm thinking like, cause Donald Trump say wild shit like that too. Donald Trump or misname shit and
Mm-hmm.
incorrectly identify certain people, and he does that shit
Just
too.
bold face lie
Yeah, or he'll just
consecutive.
bold face lie. Donald Trump do that shit too. So I'm literally starting my morning on this panel talking to some colleagues and shit, and we going back and forth about whether or not Joe Biden has the mental fortitude to be able to do the job. Then I get off from talking with these niggas. I'm reading, catching up on this news. I hop and because the part of the conversation that we was also having was, should Joe Biden get out of the race? And I'm like, strategically, that makes no fucking sense. Like, we 4 or 5 months from before the election, we weeks away from a convention. In what world does it make sense, any strategic sense, really, to attempt to just throw somebody else in there? You undermine
None.
voters. You undermine voters because the primaries have already taken place. Voters selected Joe Biden during these primaries, where this conversation about his aptitude could have been had in the primaries,
Right.
where y'all supposed to kind of hash this out. Y'all didn't do it in the place where y'all was supposed to. So now, because y'all a little spooked because of a debate performance, which a debate performance has never decided the outcome of an election, to be
Right.
clear, to then use that as an opportunity to kind of panic, just kind of show how weak y'all are, how absent-minded, how useless the Democratic
Yeah.
Party is.
I also think it's important to note that Democratic voters are not interested in, they're highly skeptical, right? They
Right.
don't trust nothing that the Democrats got going on. So they got to put somebody out there that's going to cut the mustard and go through months of social vetting, right? Go through the court of public opinion, have people hash out how they feel about them. Anybody now coming on the scene? Nope. I smell a rat. I smell nonsense. I smell somebody desperation. You know what I'm saying? Like, or whoever it is, they're just gonna pick them apart
Yeah.
because there hasn't been enough time to build rapport to be convincing, and it looks desperate.
Right. It looks
And people
very
don't want to
desperate.
vote for desperation. People are not interested in desperation. And so,
Right.
as much as there's this demand, even from Democrats themselves, to get a new candidate, I don't think they're going to warm to that candidate because they're just too, like I said, skeptical of what the party in and of itself has going on. And they're going to think it's something more that meets the eye. The same way we've been trying to figure out what exactly we're supposed to be falling in love with about Joe Biden. Like, there's just too many questions that are unanswered and uncut and dry by Democrats. I don't think anybody they put up there outside of Kamala Harris, outside of straight up saying Kamala Harris is our official person that we running. We're not gonna do Joe. We're gonna do Kamala. Here's our candidate. Here's who you're gonna vote for. We've already had a chance to build a relationship with her. People have been clamoring for her. At this point, people are willing to let bygones be bygones and forget a
Right.
whole bunch of stuff about her. There's a level of at least go with the schmo, you know what I'm saying? And so I think people are gonna be willing to make that palatable. But anybody else, save it. Newsom, save it.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any other names floating around. We already
It
know
was
people
just
like,
Kamala and Gavin Newsom. Maybe the only people that had the type of name recognition that could be considered relevant.
because like a Marianne Williamson, Robert Kennedy, who else has kind of been floating around, but I was a fringe candidate. None of those
Cornel
people,
West.
None of those people are going to rise to the prominence to get the credibility now. Even in the face of Joe Biden going through what he's going through, people still
Yeah.
not buying those folks. So you might as well either go with Kamala or sit still and ride with what you came with.
Yeah, so my initial reaction was this election is over. Because the type of and so we can actually transition into the next part of the conversation. Past our reaction is the impact that it will have. Like, what do you think the impact of this assassination attempt will have on the election? Because I'm straight up like, listen, just as we discussed, they made him a victim, right? So that emboldens the base, that validates the base. You feel me? Joe Biden doesn't have any type of momentum right now. The only thing that was going to give him momentum,
Losing momentum right now.
he's losing momentum. Correct. The only thing that was going to give him momentum was Trump's sentencing. That shit went out the window when the Supreme Court ruled on the immunity case, and Donald Trump filed to get his conviction thrown out, even though that's going to be unsuccessful, right? So in my mind. As I was explaining to y'all, I was just the morning before I found out he got shot. I was just arguing with niggas like, no, it don't make sense. You got to keep him in the, you know what I mean? Just like as you was breaking down, right? This incident changed my entire mind about that. Joe Biden has to drop out of the race now. Because no, hear me out though. Hear me
Plot
out.
twist based on what we
Hear
just
me
said
out.
5 minutes ago.
Emmanuel in the building, Moo in the building, C Dot in the building. Appreciate y'all
Also,
pulling up.
KJ in the building says, make some comments above. What's
Oh
up with y'all?
yeah. KJ, what's good with you? Oh, he said, please be careful what y'all put on the socials, and that's why we gonna
Definitely.
keep it respectable as best we could,
We're
as
gonna keep
best
it
we
cute.
can.
I don't know about respectable
Yeah,
or respectable.
we
We're
we
gonna
keep
keep
it
it cute.
cute. Yeah, we keep it
Yeah.
cute, right? So, but the reason why I've had like a complete turnaround about this, again, we talking strategy, and if we're ranking what is the best thing that could happen to a candidate during an election to give them momentum, getting shot and surviving it is at the top of that list. Surviving an assassination attempt as a leading candidate, as a pretty popular candidate, you can't get no more, you know what I'm saying, invigorating or inspiring or motivational. I mean Donald Trump as an entity, I'm against. But like seeing this nigga with, like, you know what I'm saying, with his hand up, blood on his face and all of that, that in and of itself, outside of who it is, that in and of itself is inspiring. I liked Donald Trump just a little bit, seeing him, you know what I'm saying, like seeing him like in the middle of getting shot. This nigga like, yeah, we fighting, we like, yo, like it outside of his politics, that is an inspirational thing to see. That is an inspirational thing to witness. Like, this nigga just got shot and he's still yelling, fight. Yeah, they trying to take me out. They trying to, but I'm still standing. I'm still strong on his what's that? Antoine Fisher. You know what I'm saying? You feel me?
Yeah.
So ultimately, like, he got the biggest boost that he could get. He got the biggest boost that he could get. In order to compete with that, Democrats have to do something drastic. They have to.
Yeah, they said Joe Biden just got to go and individually, everybody's loan paperwork, he just got to go sign it and approve it himself. Like, you
And
just one by one, page by page, just everybody who got a loan left
but
needs
see,
to
we
forget.
but he ain't got enough time to do that. He ain't got enough time to do it. So the only thing, like, in my mind, like, if they want a fighting chance, if they want to punch his chance, because right now I'm of the mindset Joe Biden has lost this election because of this
Yeah.
incident. And you know, I ain't said that. I ain't definitively said that this entire election. For years I've been saying Joe Biden can still beat down. This though, you can't predict this. You feel me? And so I'm of the mindset, the way that this impacts the election is that the only way that Democrats can try to find some type of momentum to get things rolling, Joe Biden got to go. He can't, now he got to go. They need
I
to do
don't
something
know.
drastic.
I don't disagree.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think him being replaced or dropping out the race solves anything. I think it's a lateral move at best, right? So, like, I don't think it gives him a chance at anything. I think this election, and it's been interesting to watch what we call in debate the internal link. Let's give you some debate language real quick because I'm at debate camp, right? The internal link is the idea that there is an instance here and there is a phenomena here, and they seem rather unrelated. And so we have to spend some time kind of explaining the scenario or the story that gets us from point A to point B. So, what is our kind of two connecting points? Joe Biden presidency and how we get to either another Joe Biden presidency or Donald Trump presidency. And we've been speculating over the last few months about the middle parts. And we've had a lot of middle parts. We have court decisions. We've had blunders. We've had assassination attempts. A lot of things that could have never, alluded us to how things were going to play out. But remember, when we were connecting those dots, I said Joe Biden presidency to Donald Trump presidency. And the reason why, and I stand by it, and this is a great example of what I mean, is that Joe Biden just does not have the loyalists. He doesn't have the people who are willing to pop up out of nowhere to do the extra moves, because everybody's disinterested in this election. But he don't got nobody willing to say, oh, my king is at stake. My goat is about to be sacrificed. Let me turn up for him real quick and go do something. I don't know that there's a thing Joe Biden can do. An independent thing that he can do, because even if you fix student loans, remember, everybody didn't go to college. Everybody don't care about that shit. Some people think it's unfair because there's nothing happening that lightens their load or creates a path for their future and their financial
and they've already paid their loans. And
what do you do with medical debt in the face of student loans? I never went to college, but I got sick of shit. You got anything for me? right? And so it becomes like a very difficult issue to figure out what the proper entry point is, and they haven't been able to figure it out for months, if not a year and a half, what the celebratory tenets are that makes you feel good about a Joe Biden ballot. Whereas Donald Trump has his MAGA loyalists, right? He has his trumpets on top, and that was always gonna vote for him. That been pissed since the last elections and just was been ready for another chance to show up at the ballot box. And then you have a whole group of people who was like, "Yeah, I'm with Trump, but I don't know, I'm on the fence." Da, 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 da. And they see this and they like, he was right all along.
Yeah,
I knew
stamp
it.
it.
I'm gonna show up for him. I'm gonna make sure he really gets in there because you can't just do that. You can't just go around shooting, prospective presidential candidates, and they really want to silence this man. And I can't believe it. I can't allow for this to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like they go into that ensemble of thought, and it emboldens them. So if they were on the
Yeah.
fence, they showing up now. And in the one, and I mean, I think the ones who weren't on the fence but were willing to show up, they're going in droves. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not neck and neck. It's just too many people at the base of the Trump campaign that are willing to show up and show out, and Joe Biden just don't have nothing of the sort. And this is only twisting a knife.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why they have to do something drastic. They have to. So like
Yeah.
really, because I mean
I
to be
don't think
honest,
there's nothing to be done. I'm sorry.
yeah, right. I mean, and I understand that, but from a strategic standpoint, if we're saying that it's an L, like Joe Biden is losing, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like whether it's the way we think about his mental aptitude or whether it's the invigoration that the Republican Party getting with this election, he's gonna lose. Okay, so if he's gonna lose, then we might as well roll the dice and try to do something instead of sitting back and just taking the L with the person that we know is not now. Because before this, I'm thinking like, okay, we could talk Project 2025. Before this, we can talk, you know what I'm saying, the economy. There's certain things that we can talk. We can talk about the Supreme Court and the impact of this immunity decision and all of these things. But guess what? In the media, because Donald Trump is getting that, I got shot type sympathy, they not about to campaign for at least 2-3 weeks. So like we gonna
Who's
win
not?
Democrats.
Okay.
Because they already the Biden campaign has pulled their ads online and on TV, right? Joe Biden is going out, he's already making the type of right comments to be like, oh, political violence is not something that we stand for and not something that we represent. They're already doing that. So they're all like, how they moving within the status quo is again, they're doing the thing that Trump and them wouldn't do. They tried to, they was about to beat what's the name with a hammer. Nancy Pelosi husband with a hammer.
And Nancy herself, they was looking for her.
And they made, the Republicans made jokes about that shit. So like we already behind the 8 ball because but Democrats are already behind the 8 ball because while they're doing the civil thing, you know what I'm saying, Republicans is just eating up the grace and the courtesy that they would have never provided.
Absolutely.
You feel me? So in order to shift that to shift away from, all right, everybody just kissing Trump ass because he got shot, doing something drastic like all right, Kamala, you know what I'm saying, shaking shit up, because that's the best you can do right now. Because if y'all go into November with with Joe Biden and Donald Trump got this picture of his fist raised and blood on his face, and everybody in the crowd, Donald Trump's next campaign rally is about to be sold out. The Republican National Convention is about to be a victory lap for Donald Trump. The man just got shot. So they got to do something drastic. Democrats are already. What you was about to say?
I was just gonna say we got the comments jumping too. So when we get a chance, let's look over there. But Democrats is already doing what? I see you got something on the screen. My fault.
Yeah. No, you good. So Democrats is already tripping about it. They already recognizing what it said. One Democratic veteran consultant said the presidential contest ended last night. But just more a little insight from MSNBC. At a time when President Joe Biden has been struggling to shore up support with fellow Democrats following a miserable June debate performance and shaky cleanup effort, some professional Democratic political operatives said Saturday's shooting will end up sealing the incumbent's electoral fate. One longtime Democratic insider said, "We're so beyond fucked." Noting that the image of Trump thrusting his fist in the air with blood dramatically smeared across his face will be indelible, which is what I agree with. You know what I mean? Like, even as the opposition, think about it like this. I hated Tom Brady. I was never a Tom Brady fan, right? I bet against him. I bet against him against my own interest in that Falcons Super Bowl. Falcons kicking ass in the first half. Second half,
ride with him.
Man, second half, Tom Brady came through, murdered. It wasn't even close. They, you know what I'm saying, just ran with it the second half, won the Super Bowl, right? That was one of the moments where me, as a hater of Tom Brady, had to recognize that's him. That's him. This is a that's him moment.
Yeah.
He may not have earned it. He may not have earned it. But God damn it, the devil gave it to him. The devil handed him and said, look, here's a little cheat code. You know what I mean? And everybody recognizing it. Let's go ahead and hear what they got to say in the chat too.
The chat, couple people been talking to us. C Dot, of course, says, so getting shot changed his anti-black policies. Nah, fam, and not at all. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, it's been interesting to watch. A lot of people, our own people, by the way, very peculiarly be like, oh, Trump getting a nigga treatment. Oh, Trump black. Oh, this is many men moment. This and that. Stay focused, people. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing about his politics changed. And we're gonna get to another thing, see, that I said in a second, which is LOL, that shit was a sketch. A sketch, don't fall for it. We're gonna kind of definitely weigh in on that here in a second and see what's good. Danielle said it's crazy that something that stupid would make people want to vote for him more. And that's the Donald Trump effect. Like, I would love to, if I had more time, sit with the like political scientists, but also like the social psychologists who really look at the way that we think as a collective, and by we I mean like members of a society, and how it is that they get to a place where they look at a candidate like Donald Trump, see the shit that he does, and get even more enthralled by it. I don't understand it, but I'm assuming there's some scientific explanation about it. But the shit should be studied at the very minimum, because it's a unique phenomenon. Peaches said Joe also needs to sit down. I'm tired of hearing him try to overcome his speech impediments, which is just this much ableist, but also a reflection of the fact that, you know, we do talk about the fitness that is necessary to lead and guide a country. It is just real and honest that there is a certain level of capacity, both in intellect and performance and knowledge and execution of the job, that we just have an expectation of for the leader of the free world. We've got to be honest about when fam is missing the mark a little bit too much. And that goes back to some of the blunders we had talked about before. Miss Ma'am is of an interesting opinion, which is that I think the focus on Trump's ties to Project 2025 will still negatively impact him, or impact Donald Trump specifically, despite his attempts to distance himself from it. And so I think this question is very reflexive of the fact that it's so much shit to think about. It's so much shit to balance and to consider. It's so much shit to calculate for. It's going to be very interesting to see what issues emerge as important to voters. And I think it's really one voter to the next. It's not one set of issues that's more important to Black people. It's not one set of issues that's more important to people at the border this time. It's not one set of issues that most people are thinking about if they are worried about college debt and the paths to the future. There's not one set of issues that people are worried about when we are in a potential every other day a World War III scenario. Like, it's just, you don't get to pick one of those and be like, this is my thing that I really fucking care about. All of that shit is dead. So it'd be interesting for the people who say 2025 is the place where I want to plant my flag. Project 2025 is, you know, the thing that I find unacceptable, because if you find that unacceptable, then how are you okay with the way that this person has been treating this war over against? There's so many things. It's just like that. It can't be that cut and dry because this nigga over here, what he talking about. So,
but here's the thing. Here's the thing about niggas, and when I say niggas, I'm speaking people. They
those niggas.
When it comes to thinking about shit politically, we always take the easy route, right? So like, if we could think about politics through how we understand race, boom, we're gonna do it just like that. If we could think about politics through how we understand, you know, capital and labor and all, we're gonna go right that. We're gonna go down that vein. So it's like, we like politics easy. Yeah. Things like big events that dominate the conversation is what makes it easy. We also have, like, our memories are trash. So like, or not even our memories, but our attention span. So while Project 2025 was finally getting this spotlight, it was started to trend and people started to look it up. Boom, this happened. You know what I'm saying? So now we got a whole nother we got a whole new thing to focus on that's about to take up our attention for at least really up until the election. Like, this is the type of.
What's crazy, and one thing I can't help but notice though is it's just like, we have these big ass issues, and they just don't think. I don't feel like for so much big shit to happen, nothing sticks. And I think this is just a sign of the times. It's a social media culture. It's a 24-hour news cycle.
Assassination attempt, though.
The 56.
Assassination attempts go down in history.
Bro, you're right.
Historically, you got to think about it. The
I
world
know.
has changed
I'm telling you.
assassination attempts. My fault.
You know what is historic? A
Yeah,
president of a damn hegemonic country being hit with 34 felony counts, and
that's historic
it's
as well.
crazy. It's unprecedented.
That's historic as well.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And we're not pressed. Nobody's like 34 counts. Nobody's like that is my line. Nobody's like this is unacceptable. Nobody's like the election was decided. We didn't have the same conversation. You know what I'm saying? So it's just
No, I
always
agree on that behalf, right?
every new thing
Because you said that to
needs to
me.
be
You said
adjusted.
that to me. I had to tell you because you was just like, yeah, because it was something that we was gonna have a show about, and I was like, Toya, I called you. I'm like, Toya, this is crazy. This is history making. This is, and your response was, yeah, but I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
they in here. Shout out to Donnell. Donnell said YouTube just deleted my comment. They is watching us.
oh yeah,
Shout out to Chris for popping in. We're being surveilled, apparently.
of
But
course.
here's what they can't surveil, by the way. It's 18 people watching and 12 thumbs. So they can't silence your thumb. If you do in here with a conversation, if you rocking with us, if you are just as mind blown, but also thrown off, but also very skeptical about this assassination attempt, go ahead and hit that thumb real quick. Because that's all we in here talking about is what we do with this shit that they are putting, on our screens and in our faces and asking us to accept as real and legitimate as we make huge decisions about our future. So hit that thumb real quick. Don't be shy. But Plug, where else do we go from here in the conversation?
So from here we go to where everybody really wants to take the conversation, and that
Yeah.
is, was this shit real? All right. Now, first, I have to preface the conversation with this to you.
Yeah.
Conservatives, the alt right, QAnon have made it a habit that no matter what happened in the world, they're gonna say it was fake. They've made it
Yeah.
a habit to call into question the Nancy Pelosi husband event that was fake. The whole they said the Sandy Hook was full of crisis actors and none of that happened. 9/11 was fake. This is fake.
Mm-hmm.
That is fake. So we already exist in a kind of like this a culture where the side that is represented by Donald Trump has called everything fake from the get-go. Nothing is real, nothing should be trusted, right? So my apprehension with this part of the conversation and asking the question of whether or not this shit was staged is that we fall into the same trap that the alt-right falls into given the circumstances. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
And so while I do want us to engage fully in a conversation about questioning all of this shit, like even if we look at this picture, my nigga, you just got shot. Why? We don't know if there are more shooters. We don't know if more people are involved. How are y'all doing? How is the Secret Service doing photo ops in the middle of the incident?
Bruh.
In
Whole
the middle
time
of the incident.
he spent 30 seconds. No, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. No, I gotta talk to him. Wait, I gotta go back. Fight. Like he said, fight like 4 times, man. On top of that, the people in the background not ducking, not running. Like I did hear and see some other angles, not necessarily people running, but people yelling, "Oh, get over here, run!" So I'm hearing comments because there's so many different video angles from. So I've seen a couple different pieces of footage, but the main footage we get, the people on the stage like, "Is there a bee?" Like they swatting like there's a fucking wasp in the crowd or something like that. Like
And a lot of the reports came out, oh, it was pandemonium. It was crazy. Things just, when you see the video, there was no pandemonium. There was no rushing nothing. It was a man, like literally, if you look behind Donald Trump, they just looking around like, damn, what just happened? And then when they see Trump fist pumping, they start fist pumping too. Yeah.
and here's what pisses bruh, like, and I'm gonna tell you what's crazy is because I forget where he was, but Trump was at an event speaking on stage, and there was word that somebody with a gun was in the crowd. The gun didn't go off, nobody shoot it, nobody drew the gun. But as soon as the Secret Service or his security found out that it was somebody with a gun on the premises, they hit the stage, cover him up from all angles, usher him off stage, down there dragging him off because he wanted to keep talking and shit like that. And that was all she wrote. So these are night and day. These instances are night and day. We've seen what happens and how a team is supposed to respond in a time of threat. And that's not it. They half-ass covered him up when he fell to the ground, which is how you get all these catch-up memes and like these jokes about the fact that the man, they put him down there and smeared him up. And it feels, it's given choreographed. Now, I say this I say this not wanting to undermine the fact that I think somebody innocent was killed, right?
Yes.
2 lives were lost, not only the life of the shooter, but also somebody else who was in the audience. So I don't want to be Alex Jones. We're not Alex Jones. We're not sitting here trying to deny the fact that lives was lost and lives that will never be the same again, the same way the folks in Sandy Hook
To,
was,
to
instead
be
of here to be
fair,
like, ha ha ha,
his name was
those were actors
Corey.
and those were,
Oh no, I was just gonna say his name real
huh?
quick. Corey Comparator or something like that. He was a 50-year-old fireman. He was a 50-year-old fire chief from the area, and he was killed jumping in front of his family to make sure that to make sure that they didn't get hit by no bullets. So so when Toya say that we want to be respectful of the people that was harmed in that instance, this is the individual that was that whose life was taken. 2 more people were rushed to the hospital, and they clearly survived their injuries.
Sure. The point I was getting at, and rip to all those people, the people who are hurt, injured in the melee and the fray of it, is that we do take them serious. And so I'm not trying to strike the same chords or tenders as your Alex
Yeah,
Joneses in the world who have been
not at all.
convicted of being very flippant and dismissive of lives lost. But I do want to make the point that I'm still scratching, I'm still stroking my imaginary beard. You threw the name in there, and I appreciate that. We want to acknowledge the reality of it. So I really and being reflexive in the moment about
Right.
not being flippant about that shit. I also want to be very clear that I'm still
It because it's
stroking my beard.
crazy.
I don't
It's
know.
it's crazy. Because here's the thing. Given the circumstances, right?
Yeah.
Given all of all of the things that Donald Trump has done, you know what I mean? All of the people that he's pissed off, killing politicians isn't really a left wing thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm gonna keep it a stack. They don't have the balls to do it. They don't have the balls to be that radical, or they don't have the gall. They don't
Yeah.
have the yeah. Let me not be. Let's not make it gender specific, but it turns
Right. But I
right.
mean,
They
but
don't have the
still, I mean, the
audacity.
nerve.
Yeah, right.
Listen, they don't got the titties to do it neither. They don't got the balls. They don't have the
Right.
titties. If
They
you
ain't got
want
the
to pick
ovaries. Goddamn it.
a gender-based body part that you feel like gives somebody strength. I don't know, the
Right.
eyeballs. They don't have the heart. Let's just go to
The heart.
they
Right.
don't got it. They ain't,
Right. Right. That's called inclusive language, people. Y'all pick up on that.
Absolutely, we love it here.
But it's just like for me, going back to the idea that Donald Trump wanted to be a victim, like and this thing making him a victim, the way that he's acting in the middle of what is supposed to be a crisis and a controversy, it just doesn't add up. You know what I mean? Then
Yeah.
immediately right wing publications was trying to say that it was Antifa. You know what I mean? All of that type of shit. So it's like a lot of this deserves skepticism. Even the question of how did he get there? Because the distance where he was able to set up, that was like within the range of like when you dealing with Secret Service, like what they check out, what they scope. You
Exactly.
you had one individual that said he spotted the shooter before he fired the shot, and he tried to get the attention of law enforcement and everybody else. So it's like a lot of this shit, a lot of this don't add up. But the again, like we talked about earlier, the skepticism has to do with the fact that it's like we don't want to sound like the conspiracy idiots that be on the other side.
But do you see? I think this perfectly contextualizes why my response was, "Where am I?" And I think because my sub thought was this shit could be fake. Like, where am I that former president, future potential candidate can almost be assassinated? And one of my first intuitive thoughts is this is cap. This is fucking bullshit. This is nuts. That's part of my ensemble of questions that I'm thinking when I'm like, where am I? Because the political climate and environment we in has me thinking both are serious and both are real and both are legitimate and both are possible. And why does that even enter my frame of reference to associate these type of shenanigans? Right? You shenany once, you'll shenany again.
You're
And so
shady.
when I look at Donald Trump and I look at shit like this, I'm
Yeah, because that is where
like,
we are.
maybe not.
That's
You know
where we
what I'm
are.
saying? It's a litter pathway. It's a litter, just a litter background of bullshit that leads me to believe that you'll do anything. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's so bad. I think that bold so reflects so poorly and bold so poorly for his candidacy and for his campaign. For me to look at you and be like, you so slimy and snaky and terrible and trashy, and I really do believe you'll try anything. I do believe in my heart of hearts, nothing past you.
Yeah,
I do really, really believe in my soul that you and your campaign will orchestrate and get enough people. It's enough dummies out there that's willing to be extras in this show you call the Donald Trump show, just like the Truman Show. It's enough fools
because you know
willing
we
to be
call
stand-ins and extras.
it
You know what I'm saying?
theater.
Like, and so I can fathom it.
Yeah. It's not outside. Like I'm not going to die on that hill, but it's not outside the realm of like the realm of possibility. Like
and you know what they say.
What they say?
Truth is stranger than fiction.
Then stranger than fiction, goddamn it. So
listen,
that's a perfect place to kind of put a cap on that, because you know what I'm saying, the viewership dropped a little bit, so they may be like, these niggas is on some conspiracy shit. So you know, I get it. You know how YouTube be. But
throw a thumb on your way out, because you know we in here talking real. Throw a thumb on your way out. That's all I'm saying. Come on now.
But to get to the next part of the conversation, I think we should talk about the shooter. I think that was where my mind went. Secondly, when I found out he was shot, because immediately the first thing that we all was thinking, goddamn Antifa. That's what everybody was thinking. Because I swear to God, I was gonna be anti-Antifa if they was responsible for this shit. You know what I mean? Or anti-liberal, whatever. Whoever was associated with the idea to try to kill this man and fail at it, you feel me? Like, y'all are the ops. Because y'all just became useful idiots and helping get this man elected. So what we know about the shooter specifically is his name is, where is that man's name? Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. He was born in 2003, so he a youngin', like Gen Z, which is crazy. 20-year-old man. So he actually only been able to be involved in politics, like in terms of voting. Like he probably keep up with things. But he was able to be involved, like only vote at more so as of recently, probably I think as of 2020 or 2022. So he had the ability to participate in the 2022 election. But FBI officials said Sunday that they were combing Crook's background and social media activities while working to get access to his phone. The chatting app Discord, a social media platform popular with people playing online games, said Crooks appears to have had an account, but used it rarely and not in the last several months. There's no evidence he used his account to promote violence or discuss his political views, a Discord spokesperson said. Crook's political leanings were not immediately clear. This is where it gets interesting. Records show Crooks was registered as a Republican voter in Pennsylvania, but federal campaign finance reports also show that he gave $15 to a Progressive Political Action Committee on January 20th of 2021, the day Biden was sworn into office. So typically when these things happen, especially with right-wing shooters, all you got to do is go to their Facebook. Bam. Motive. You feel me? Or they've readily left a manifesto, like what you saw with Dylan.
A manifesto of some sort.
Right.
What we saw with that Nashville shooting, like we got to be honest about who people come from all different sides of the spectrum. That the trans person who shot up the school in Nashville,
right. That was a left wing shooter. That was a left wing shooter. We can be honest about that. Yeah. And so, his political views aren't readily apparent, this is actually a good thing. Let me know what you think about this, though. This disrupts the left versus right conversation that people rely on to determine why people do anything. You're saying this because you buy into the Democrats. Oh, you're saying this because you're bigoted like a conservative. Not really being able to understand where his mind was politically and like in that framework, it pauses the conversation. It pauses like the tension between the two parties, because now they don't have a reason to jump out the window the way that they typically would. Like if this was Antifa, we gone. We out the window. Liberals are trying to kill us. You know what I'm saying? Like they like liberals are defending terrorists and Antifa and everything else. So, but with that, what were your thoughts about the shooter? and his lack of political, I guess, propaganda, political leanings, those type of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lack of political propaganda and political proper leanings, as far as we know, right? We, I think, have become super reliant on digital spaces to tell us the truth about who people were. I think, we undermine and underestimate the people that have opinions and not just broadcast them to everybody, to really feel strongly about some shit and to be able to espouse those things in ways that we couldn't predict or we couldn't see coming, because not everybody is going to jump on some type of online space or even tell everybody to attract attention to them what they thinking in the
Right.
deepest depths of it. You know what I'm saying? We
Right.
do. I think what we heard about or understood about this person was that they were typically an alienated person. They were bullied heavily, allegedly in high school. They were somebody who was not necessarily the most popular person or whatever. And so they probably had perspectives that were marginalized, that were a little to the left or to the right, that tended to be an outlier. And a lot of those people, they goes one of two ways. Either they double down on their shit and they just really bold about it and espouse what they say and they have a pride in it, or they like, oh, you're not fucking with that, huh? You gonna think I'm kind of weird? I'm gonna just learn how to keep that shit to myself, and I'm gonna work through it how I work through it, and it's gonna get me where it gets me. And so we have that here. So I think what is most reflective of this is that the fact that if it is true he doesn't really have any heavy political leanings one way or another, I think this demonstrates the exasperation of the average American. I think this demonstrates
It's a
how
great
fucking
point.
tired that the average person. I don't have to be emboldened. I don't have to have a hard line theory about the world or theory about power in the way that it exists. I don't have to, lean into a particular doctrine of what we should be doing, or a project 2025, or a this or that, in order to just feel very strongly and be very fucking tired and be very willing to articulate and express that in ways that I
Right.
feel appropriate from one moment to the next.
Man, I think you said a
I think
word
that's just
right
about
there.
the average American psyche.
Yes, that's you saying a word, because at the end of the day, if I care about social justice, it's not because I'm a fucking Joe Biden supporter. Like
That,
if I care about trans people getting beat the fuck up, it's not because I'm a bleeding heart liberal. I'm a person.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I mean, like I'm an
Yeah.
empathetic individual that things that I don't want for myself, I don't want for the world. I don't, like, regardless of disagreements and
Hmm.
everything else. And so I think, like you said, this is a representation or a reflection of possibly, right? Because one thing Miss Mann pointed out, and I kind of
Hmm.
picked up on as well. He was like heavy Second Amendment, like he was a gun enthusiast, which is more of a right leaning activity. You know what I mean? So you kind of see that he's
Yeah.
involved, but I think the confusion with that again is that most people have things that we like. Oh, you like this like a liberal, and oh, you kind of like this like a conservative. Most people exist in the middle. Most people have things that they touch on both sides that makes them them and makes them unique. And we spend so much time trying to put
We
people
are we
in
are
these
so much
boxes.
more Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I mean, but what I'm
Good.
saying is very much in agreement with what you're saying. We're way much more Frankenstein than we give ourselves credit for. As people, we're a whole lot more of a Mitch and match, what we call in debate a plug and play, a little piece over here, we slide something over there, we it's a little reflection over here, and we find we're nuanced beings. You know what I'm saying? So I think the time is over in a 2024 American society where you get these really cut and dry, hard line kind of orientations toward anything. There are
Right.
no blind allegiances toward anybody. There's
Right.
always, and I think that pop culture tells us this, right? We can no longer enjoy celebrities. We can no longer enjoy people just straight outright and think shit is sweet and ain't nothing wrong, right? It's
Right.
always gonna be some shit we don't agree with. It's always gonna be an underbelly of something. It's always gonna be some take it or leave it type shit with the
Mm-hmm.
people, with the politics, with the orientations we have now, because there's just too
Mm-hmm.
many abilities to peek behind the curtain. It's too many abilities to see the inauthenticity, the fake shit, the deception, the misinformation, the disinformation behind some of our faves, or some of the stuff that we
Mm.
really loved, or some of the things that traditionally were passed down from our ancestors or our
Kwanzaa.
community leaders and shit like that. So we quantum, bruh, shit, about hidden colors. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, so many things. It's just like. If I wasn't a critical thinker, if I didn't have this timeline, if I wasn't able to Google these things, you might have got me. But the combination of my access to ability is forcing me to just not be the dummy that I would have been 10 years ago or 15 years ago, which means that I got some nuances, some intricacies that you need to be able to tap in order to keep
that
my
make
attention, or I'm
me
gonna just be like, nah, I'm good on that.
right. That make me me. Responding to Donnell real quick, I think he poses a great question. Says, why would this disrupt it? Right. And so when he says this, he's talking about not really understanding his political leaning. Why would that disrupt it? He says, shouldn't this be a non sequitur until more info comes out? The left wasn't advocating for T's head. That's the point, though. It forces the right, whose inclination is to blame the left, to pause. That's a disruption, because they're like they have a proclivity to immediately blame whatever is wrong with the world or whatever's happening on their bad guy, which is the left. They can't do that now.
Right.
They can try to bring up the PAC, but he's a registered Republican. You know what I mean? He's a Second Amendment enthusiast. These are
Then nobody checking boxes but him.
Right. And so while I agree, Donnell, when you say shouldn't this be a non sequitur, it should, but given the volatile ideological climate that's existed in the United States since probably like 2012, 2010, really, this is something that it doesn't fit within the narratives that are typically that they typically attempt to force or to interpolate onto these type of situations. And so them being forced to have to pause before they jump to Twitter and start, but because again, me, Toya, and George in our group chat, like we had names, right?
Shout out to Conscious Lee.
Yeah, shout out to Conscious Lee. We had names, like there was it was like they said it was this Italian Antifa YouTuber who was responsible for it. That turned out to be completely false. It turned out to be completely false. So like them wanting to jump to these blaming, partisan actors, now they have to stop. That, to me, that's a disruption. And it's something that was needed given the climate.
Speaking of disruptions, Winter, we feel you. Apparently, YouTube disrupting these conversations by deleting Winter's comments about comments being deleted. So games being played. They on our top right now. And F them. You know what I'm saying? YouTube, you're not slick, but we also aren't saying nothing out of line. You know what I'm saying? These is the informed citizenry, right? And I use the citizenry loosely because shout out to all my undocumented folks and people who are part and parcel of these conversations and implicated in them that just don't got a little funky ass piece of paper. We ain't got no allegiance to that shit either. But these are the social conversations that y'all, you want me to support the military and respect them? Thank y'all. This is what y'all doing for me to be able to talk my shit and say this freely and do whatever. So it's just, I can't stand when YouTube and other platforms try to come in here and over-regulate. I'm not saying no regulation needs to happen and moderation needs to happen because some shit, you know what I'm saying, just doesn't deserve to be in the marketplace of free thought, and I stand by that. And yeah, my lines are arbitrary and subjective. Oh well. But at the same time, we having harmless discussion about the nonsense that we be.
It's not inflammatory. It's not hateful. Wow. It's not bigoted.
Nobody wished that man died. Wished he would have been successful. We never said that on this episode on this show. So thumbs down to the hating ass people behind the curtain at YouTube. But also shout out to everybody who is keeping this conversation alive and moving it forward. The Winters of the world who's still jumping in the comments. The Miss Mams, the Emmanuels, everybody, Donnells, C. Dot. Y'all know we love y'all who are typing regardless, because even though y'all know YouTube gonna help. Hit a thumb real quick while the plug starts to just a little bit closer to really rounding out this conversation to the next time we see, you know what I'm saying, what happens with this shit. So where do we go from here, plug? What do we need to be about?
And we do need to start modding some of y'all up. So if y'all interested in being a mod for the channel, y'all don't be tripping. So it's like it ain't a hard channel to moderate, but because there are some, the YouTube like flag comments that may be inappropriate type shit, and if you a mod, you can overcome that. So let us know if y'all want to be mods, and we'll get y'all modded up on the channel. But the last part of the conversation, which I think is one of the most important before we close out, is, do you think this has now become a both sides thing in terms of Democrats, like the Democrats versus Republicans? What Republicans are saying is that is that the rhetoric from Democrats, the rhetoric surrounding the rhetoric surrounding Donald Trump being the end of democracy, Donald Trump attempting to create a dictatorship, that type of rhetoric, that Republicans are saying that is what kind of enticed an individual to want to take the candidate's life, ex-President Trump's life. So, do you think that this incident gives them at least the room, the leeway to talk about both sides, given the rhetoric that we've seen come from the right during Trump's reign as the Republican president and nominee?
Okay, I want you to explain your question to me one more time because I'm still confused about what you are implicating when you say both sides. Can you repackage the question for me real quick?
Yeah, so what the argument currently is that the rhetoric associated with Donald Trump wanting to create a dictatorship, the immunity case, all of that rhetoric would make somebody on the left want to cause violence to Donald Trump because we're framing the left is framing Donald Trump as a threat to democracy. Do you think that is a fair characterization coming from conservatives given the rhetoric that we see coming out of the right?
No, answer that question first. I think I want to hear your perspective on this. I think that might allow for me to understand what you're trying to get at a little bit better.
But yeah, no, hell no. I'm posing the question as a journalist, but my answer is fuck no. You know what I'm saying? So like just to kind of spark that shit, like hell motherfucking no. One, I get it. I get that violence isn't the way that we protect the government from actors who we think ideologically are dangerous. It's the ballot box. It's organizing. It's being politically engaged, right? Okay, yes, that is true. However, the calling Donald Trump a threat is so that people can go, like a threat to democracy is so that people can go out and actually vote and actually be politically involved. It's so they're not looking up and being like, damn, what happened to my country? It's we see who is causing this type of these types of issues. We see that again, this immunity case, the idea that the president is immune, you know what I'm saying, when he's doing quote unquote his job. That's dictator type shit, right? That's king type shit, monarchy type shit that the whole framers and the founders of the Constitution was wholly against, right? So when Democrats are saying that this person is a threat to democracy, right? That's not the same thing as Republicans saying that these people are a threat to who you are as an individual. These people are a threat to whiteness, the great replacement theory. They're replacing us. They're taking our jobs. They're taking our people. They're having kids with these other people that's wiping out who we are, right? They're the reason why we're poor. They're the reason why we're not safe. They're the reason why America isn't great. You know what I'm saying? All of these, it's like their rhetoric is specifically utilized to point the finger at a bad group of just really what's really just a cultural group, but like that cultural group is the problem, right? So for them to attempt to say that, well, now y'all are enticing, no, that rhetoric isn't close to that. If anything, liberal or conservative, this was a white shooter.
Yeah.
That's y'all modus operandi. You know what I'm saying? That's how y'all move. There's nothing like fuck the Democrat Republican side. Young white boys is known to shoot some shit up.
Yeah.
So while y'all try to make it Democrat versus Republican, it's like, nah, what did Donald Trump do to another white boy to make him want to shoot? Because the one thing that we
done lost the plugs audio. It ain't even YouTube hating us on us this time. It's the tech hating on us. But one of the things that the plug was kind of getting at is the irony of what Miss Ma'am saying they already been seeing on these timelines is like
I unplugged my own damn mic.
Miss Ma'am says I've seen so many comments on video saying how happy folks are that the shooter was not black, a person of color, Muslim, or an immigrant. And I mean that's real shit, right? When we see the like weird ass one-to-one relationship that Republicans are trying to make with Democrats, or trying to make with the other side to demonstrate who's really pushing the country in the wrong direction, who's really emboldening the people who really stand behind violence. I think there's a lot of false analogies, and it goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of this conversation about how bad motherfuckers want to be victims, how bad Donald Trump wants to be a victim, how bad his political cohort wants to be victims, and they want to victimize themselves in the face of their own people who are responsible for their undoings. right? We've had conversations about the unique component or the unique capacity of white men and their proclivity to do a lot of these mass shootings and a lot of this violence on the scale that it happens on. We've seen and had a lot of conversations about the conversations being had at their dinner tables and being had in their social circles that embolden them and give them the nerve and the audacity to go out and go as far as trying to do an assassination attempt. So these things are not the same, right? And I think anybody who is willing to fall for those things or fall into that rhetoric or allow for there to be that one-to-one relationship is somebody who's really out of touch with who's driving these discussions. KJ says, I've already heard allegedly that our favorite bad built blonde name blamed Democrats for this. Sorry. And now we know exactly who. I got to read it over again because I didn't give it the respect it deserves. KJ said, I've already heard allegedly that our favorite bad built blonde blamed Democrats for this. And we know that's Marjorie Taylor Johnson. I had to put some
Green. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
What did I say?
You said Johnson.
Well, I don't know who that is. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I want to get her correct because it's green with the extra E, and we don't respect the extra E on hers. And no shade to my other greens with the extra E, but I'm green with just straight up. So
that's your people. That's your people.
But more specifically, we don't fuck with her. We don't own her, and just on time, like a raggedy ass clock. She wants to chime in. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, this clock is not right twice a day. It's typically wrong around the clock. And she wants to go ahead and blame Democrats for this, which is just a really lazy way to think about what's happening. Donnell says, is he not a threat to democracy? Is he not advocating for temporary authoritarianism? That dude is the threat he is accused of being. The dude is the threat that he's accused of being. What do you say to that?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah, my fault. I got so damn hyped. I didn't unplug my own shit.
It's all good.
But yeah, without a doubt, like that's the point. It's not that there's this big bad guy out there, even though we can have conversations about that. When Democrats are talking about the threat, we're literally saying, technically, like in terms of application, I mean, what you're asking for and what you're demanding, Trump, is fascism. Is a monarchy, and we as a country is supposed to be against that. But what else do you expect when the people who appreciate the rebels of the Civil War more than they appreciate the people that actually won that? So they don't even have the ability to recognize how they're traitorous and how they understand how the Constitution should be interpreted and understood. I mean, even though they may buy into the same racism as the founders at least had an understanding and the proximity to a monarchy to understand we don't want that. Like even as white people, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we got slaves and we like niggas ain't people, but we don't want a monarchy though. Like we don't.
I mean, which is cool. Honestly, I feel like those are the people who have to come up and show up and save the election. Is the people who is just like, I'm cool with a whole bunch of shit, but I'm willing to see through the nonsense and who's stirring the pot and who's really driving this descent away from the country that I used to know and love. And I want a lot of shit, but I don't want that. It really used to make my heart warm when I was watching videos and would see the feedback and reflections of Republicans who have just grown so disenchanted with the direction of their party. They are reluctant, if not reticent, to say that they're willing to vote full Democrat or willing to go as far as voting, but that are willing just to say that there's just a bad taste in my mouth. There's a complete
disconnect.
Just disenchantment with the ways in which the party that I've grown up knowing and loving has gone in. Like, I really hope those are the people who have to show up and take a stand. Those are the people who have to be like, I don't fucking fancy Joe Biden either, but I'm going to exercise my democratic right because I believe that much in it. And when I go and show up, there's just some shit that I can't tolerate and put up with. Those are the people who are going to be able to save this election, who have the nerve and the audacity and the political interest and the appetite to participate in this shit, that are willing to show up to a ballot box despite the political climate that we in. Because some people are turned off. They like, I miss work for this. Take extra time around, be late getting to the house for this. Couldn't be me, see you in 28. You know what I'm saying? And those people are completely valid in those perceptions. But it's those people who cling and who are willing to clamor and hold on to the relics of democracy that exist here, that are willing to show up and just be like anything but that.
Right.
I'm just here. I'm just here so we don't get fined. Right. The collective march on. I'm just here so that we don't get fined. I'm just here so that we don't get fined. I'm not gonna get nothing out of this. I don't want nothing from y'all. We don't have to do all the extra nitty gritty.
We just don't want bad to become worse. That's
period. Marshawn used to sit down at that table to get that interview and set a timer. I just got to make it through this X period of time and I'll be cool. And that's the same mindset that people are taking toward going to cast their vote, or at least that's the one I hope they take. If it's any
So,
hope for a non-Trump presidency.
so I'm gonna say this as we close out. Look at who did that shit though. I've been telling y'all for at least 2 years since the ACLU put out the report
Yeah.
about who was shooting shit up. You feel me? Before niggas start pointing the finger, before y'all see white people on the internet like, oh, you liberals and all, you know, this was a white man. This was y'all own people. This was white on white violence. Don't make it about leftists. Don't make it about conservatives. Don't make it about black people. Don't make it about immigrants. It was a white man who saw this other white man who's proud to be a white man. Both of these are both proud white men. So what would make one proud white man want to? Because you know how they say leftist white men don't like being white. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they talk that. Nah, this is a proud gun-toting registered Republican that took shot. I mean, he had one job to do and he failed. Like, you know, white, like his people. You know what I mean? They be talking about DEI not being good enough. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is an example of like how you a gun enthusiast and you like the biggest job of your life.
Picked the wrong gun. Apparently, he didn't even have like a long distance like sniper type.
He had
an
AR. He was trying to snipe with an AR. I mean, I guess he tried to make it work with what he had, but either way. And so when we looking at who should be targeted, who should be threatened, who should be what's it called, profiled? White men. That's who should be profiled for that type of political violence. White men. Before y'all start to blame anybody else. That's why it ain't no two sides. There is no two sides. When violence is being committed to these levels and to these degrees, it's being done by y'all own folk. This was white on white violence. Don't talk to me about what's happening in the hood when young white Gen Z is taking their daddy's AR and then aiming for, you know what I'm saying, these baby boomers.
Oh, it ain't their daddies. These states is making sure they can get them. Anti-shout out to Kyle Rittenhouse. Trust me, they making sure they get them themselves.
So we got Q Butter in the chat. Shout out to Q. Donnell said, it's what Toni Morrison said years ago in Baldwin before her. White people have to take care of white people problems. It cannot be on us, family. Respectfully, I'm with that. And Miss Ma'am said, good old white on white crime.
Yeah.
Hey, we hate it. But with that being said, man, we glad y'all was able to join us in this conversation. As more information come out, you know, of course, me and Toya gonna pull up and break certain things down, talk about the impact it's gonna have on election. I'm kind of taking a step back from the election conversation until something else happens, because as far as I'm concerned, this election is wrapped up. Unless something big happens, this election is wrapped up. So, Toya, any last words for the people?
Not for real. I'm glad y'all jumped on here to talk to us real quick. If you enjoyed yourself, or if you're catching at the end and plan on going back to the beginning, go ahead and give it a thumb, because we had a great conversation. I'm sure you're going to enjoy yourself. Shout out to everybody who's going to hear this on Spotify, on Apple Pods, or on any other platforms, domestic and international, who just rock with the Chop Up Show and want to hear what we got to say about how wild this assassination attempt is. The plug say we ain't going to have too many more political chop conversations, but y'all know he get the itching, so I don't buy it. I ain't trusting it. I ain't rocking with it. This man ain't going to be back on here talking about this election. I'm gonna be right there with him, because there's really a lot of foolery going on. But of course, we're gonna be talking about a whole bunch of other stuff. We are halfway through the month of July. We pushing through summer. A lot of stuff moving and shifting and changing around us. And so I'm headed back to the crib at the end of this week. Once I get there, we'll attempt to make sure we get back into our flow. Make sure we bringing you a new show within about 7 days or so. So y'all just stick around and see what we come up with to tapping with y'all about next. But again, I'm gonna end it how I started. Where am I? Where are we? What is this? Very simple questions, not a whole lot of words, but a whole lot of interjection in there that could be had and made. So I hope y'all holding on tight. Don't forget to hit that thumb. We appreciate the love that y'all give us forever and always.
Hey, appreciate Chop Nation. This is the Chop Up. We out. We see y'all next time.
I'll let y'all.
All right. Damn.